Hello everybody, this is Curtis from PSNStores.com. Today we're going to take a look at I Am Setsuna. This was developed by Tokyo RPG Factory, published from Square Enix. It came out just this week. It is $40 on the PSN Store for PS4. We're just going to start up a new game. I'm a decent ways in. Let's go, we'll turn on the voices. I'm a decent ways into the game, so I didn't want to record anything from that point. And then I just didn't even think to make like a save point to do a video for. But we'll start from the get-go, and that way you can see the opening of the game. Alright, so this game is very clearly a kind of spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger. Combat takes place exactly as it would in that game. There's some systems that are kind of similar, and then there's a lot of new stuff that they've added to this game that still make it feel pretty unique on its own, and not just like another Chrono Trigger kind of combat system. So we have come across the first enemy of the game, the Pengi, as they are called. It's a species of penguin-like monsters. I've run into a couple. One of the second ones that you run into is basically a rockhopper penguin, and they call them hoppers. And then, like, in the description, it talks about how they live in like rockier areas and stuff. So I'm hoping that they just continue to make a line of pengi species that are basically based off different subspecies of penguins. We'll skip through this as some tutorial stuff. So basically, you know, if you sneak up on an enemy, if you come at them from behind, your SP meter will be full immediately, which is nice. So I don't have any tech right now, so we'll just use regular attack. But what you saw there, so that circle to the right, as it fills up, that is your momentum meter. As that fills up, you get a little like spark. You can get up to 3 charges on them. So right there. So if I do an attack or anything, what's gonna happen? This little blue thing is gonna spark above my head when I do it, and if I hit square the moment that it does it, and it's a pretty lenient time frame that you have. But if I do that, it's going to give me a bonus, so in that case it adds physical damage to my attacks. The bonus it gives you is all dependent on the types of attacks or types of tech moves that you do. So if you do like a cure spell, obviously it's not going to add physical damage. It's going to do something different. It might affect your SP meter. Maybe it'll affect how fast momentum charges, or maybe it'll cure you more or something. You know, like there's going to be a few different effects depending on the type of move you're doing. But as you saw there, it's kind of the very basics of it. Hopefully we'll get a little ways in so you can see maybe a second party member join. But as you would expect from this kind of combat system, you have your regular like single person text, but then you've also got combos. Again, we'll skip through some of this stuff. This is all very much tutorial kind of things here. So we got Cyclone. That is our first tech. This is called Sprite Night. We'll look at that in just a little bit. Or I guess right now. So, okay. We'll just use this as a time to kind of look at some of this stuff. Inventory, self-explanatory. Techs, let's equip Sprite Night first. So, when you right now I have Mark of the Masked Tribe equipped as my accessory. Your accessories don't give you more defense or more attack or anything like that. What they do is they give you more slots to equip Sprite Knight in. So right now I've only got one slot, but later on in the game you'll find accessories that give you like 2 or 3 or 4 additional slots. And right now I only have Cyclone. So Cyclone enables use of Cyclone, offers a wide attack range, can also knock back enemies, causes physical damage to all enemies near the user. So it shows MP use, usable by Indir, who's our main character. Fluxes we'll explain in just a little bit. And then it shows combo. So there's a X strike for 2 people and the Grand Cross for 3 people. So it's gonna, and then you'll also find other Sprite Knights for other party members as they join that will show you the different combos that they are capable of doing. We can edit the Sprite Knight name if we want, but we're just gonna equip it. And if we go to text, now it'll show that I have Cyclone available to me. Talisman, again, those are the accessories. So just have one right now, but accessories have a flux bonus and a bonus effect and slots given for Sprite Knight equipment. Again, that is stuff that we'll try to get into in a little bit. Weapons, again, self-explanatory. We don't have any other party members. Snow Chronicles is basically your journal. It's going to encompass different characters you met, your bestiary, items that you found, all sorts of different things. Here's a quick look at it. Also talks about different records, so battles, highest damage, different things like that. So let's keep going. We'll fight more penguins. So let's take a look at this tech. So one of the other things you just saw there, exact kill showed up above one of the enemies. Just showed up above an enemy as it was dying. You notice I got 3 different drops there. So one of the aspects of this game is that as you're killing an enemy, depending on the way that you kill the enemy, will impact the different items that it drops, the different materials that you'll get. Materials are important because that's your key way of getting new Sprite Knight. And so basically what it is if you kill an enemy normally, it'll drop its normal drop. Sometimes it'll have a rare drop. If you kill an enemy with fire type magic, or with ice type magic, or with lightning type magic, you'll get specific drops depending on that. And then here's our save point. So if we actually go and look at the Snow Chronicles, we go over to enemies. So there's a quick little, description of it. We can get a nice little close look up on the enemy. It's got some nasty looking teeth. Which is true to life. If you ever see the inside of a penguin's beak, it is messed up. But here we go. We got normal, overkill, fire kill, light kill, time kill, debuff, link, momentum, shadow, water, exact, and rare. Some of these should be or most of them should be pretty self-explanatory. Momentum kill, of course, is killing an enemy when you're using your momentum. Link kill, I believe, is for combo attacks, and then exact kill. At first I thought it was like getting the exact amount of HP that they have left. Like if they have 17 HP left and you hit them for 17 damage. That sounded right to me because exact kill. But I'm pretty sure I have killed enemies like in the ballpark where it's like they've had, let's say, 17 HP and I've done 19. I'm not sure if that is true, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten exact kill for doing a little, like just a tiny bit more damage. So, but I imagine it's in that ballpark, right? So let's go back. And so we found the girl that we're looking for in this kind of prologue here. Then this boss enemy shows up. So I'm going to skip through some of this text just so we can get as far as we can, so I can show as much as possible. Let's talk about momentum mode here. And then different momentum mode effects. So, okay. Triggering momentum mode will add various additional effects to your text and combos. We talked about that. Let's see. Trigger it when using healing. Support text will recover additional HP or MP. increase the text range, or increase the duration of status effects. Now, during battle, special bonuses that affect your whole party also sometimes occur randomly. This is known as a singularity. There are various different bonuses, and the ones that occur is chosen randomly. The more you use momentum mode, the greater the chance of singularity occurring. During long battles, make sure to use momentum mode as much as possible. So the bottom left screen there is an example of the singularity. So that's one element of this game that I reading this now, I feel like, okay, I understand it, but at first it was a little weird because it is very random, and I didn't have a singularity occur until a couple hours into the game. It is, as far as I know, just as long as you're using the momentum stuff, it just will happen at randomly, and it will give you some sort of boost, some sort of buff. So maybe we'll see it in this battle, maybe we'll see it in the video, I'm not sure. I've gotten a handful of them. So we're just gonna kind of let this momentum meter charge so we can do as much damage as possible. This boss isn't too hard. Alright, we'll need to heal. So your momentum will charge over time. It'll also go up a little bit when you get hit. I don't have any ethers. But that's fine. Boss is dead. You can have up to 3 members in your party. Eventually you'll get more than 3 people, of course. Anyone who's not in your party, I was testing it last night. It seems like they get about half of the experience that people who are actively in the party get. So again, we'll kind of skip through this a little bit. We rescued the girl. Hapspur is gonna take her back home. He's gonna give us some money. And then we will soon be thrusted in to the game proper. Alright, so this guy basically, he approaches and he's like, I've got work for you to do. I am a mercenary after all. And so the job he wants me to do is to seek out this girl and to kill her. Which is important because the premise of this game revolves around a character named Setsuna. Basically in this world, somewhat similar to Final Fantasy X, is basically there are monsters that will invade. Instead of Sin in Final Fantasy X, there are just monsters that invade, and to keep them at bay, to basically appease them, every so many years, they offer up a sacrifice. Someone who will go to the far lands as a sacrificial offering to keep the monsters at bay. And so in this game, the time has come for another sacrifice, and Setsuna is a young girl who has been chosen to go on this pilgrimage to the far lands. Just to be a sacrifice for these monsters. So we've got this cool little opening, very, at least to me, very reminiscent of Final Fantasy VI. We get this just incredible music playing. This game is all piano. All the music is just completely piano. And it is, it's beautiful. It is really, really great. I have found myself numerous times, just like, especially because I got, when I bought this game, I got a theme with it, or 2 themes that play some of the music from the soundtrack. And I got a soundtrack download too. So I've just like, when I'm not playing this game, I just have the music playing in the background because I really, really like it a lot. So yeah, so we have Indir, who's our main character. He has been tasked with killing this girl, and then of course Setsuna, she is preparing to embark on this pilgrimage. And as you can probably guess, Setsuna is the girl that we are looking for, so that is kind of how we get tied into all of this. Again, we'll kind of skip through some of this dialogue if we can, so I can show a little bit more of this game, show some of the towns and different things. The way I've described this to people is basically this is Chrono Trigger meets Final Fantasy X. As far as from gameplay to story-wise, that is very much how this game feels. It feels very much like an old-school JRPG, of the kind that we don't really get very much anymore, especially from Square Enix. I mean, Bravely Default, I think, is kind of the key example from them in recent years of harkening back to an era of JRPG that we don't really get often in Bravely Default. In my mind, both the first and Bravely Second completely nailed it. Of course, the first game had some issues story-wise, but this is kind of another game like it, where it really does feel like this old school JRPG, but it doesn't feel old. You know, it's definitely, as a game being made in 2016, it still feels a little bit more modern, but it definitely kind of pulls that nostalgia a bit. So this is kind of the first little port that we arrive at. There's not really a big town here, but we're gonna go ahead and head north to the town that we're in search of, or northwest. So here's the overworld. Like Chrono Trigger, you won't be running into enemies on the overworld. All the enemies are, of course, on the map itself. So here we are in our first town. So we got some treasure chests we can open. There are chests in the game that you will find that are locked. Even in my normal save file, I have not gotten to a point where I can unlock them yet. I imagine that's probably a later game thing. Is actually this one is an example right here. So, type of stuff you have to come back to a little later. And I'm also not entirely sure if we'll be able to interact with any shopkeepers just yet. I think that's a little bit farther in. Oh, well, here's one. So this guy's gonna sell us kind of normal items, like potions, ethers, things like that. So let's go ahead and buy some. Let's get 5 ethers. We'll get some potions. Some antidotes. We got some tents. Okay. So we're probably good on that. Let's see if there's anything else that we can look at. There's some people you can talk to, and like these kind of old school JRPGs, you want to talk to everybody. Some of them will give you hints as to where you need to go next. Some of them that just have some interesting things to say. But we're just gonna go ahead and explore a bit. I kind of already know where to go. I'm not sure if I need to talk to anyone specific to trigger that, but we'll keep going just to show a bit more combat, a bit more of the game. So there are, I believe, 4 different kind of shopkeepers you can run into. We have the first one we just saw, who's just gonna sell you like traditional healing items, ethers, different things like that. You have another person that will sell you, he's a cook, so he'll sell you, like, you'll find different recipes. Basically, you can talk to different people who will ask you to bring them specific material that can be dropped from enemies. And if you do so, they'll give you food, and then they'll give you a recipe to cook that food, which you can then give to the chef, and you can just buy it from him. There is a blacksmith that will sell you weapons. and things like that. So they'll sell you weapons, they'll sell you accessories, and they will sell you like kind of crafting material that you can use to upgrade your weapons. And then the final person, and they all have specific names, I don't remember them, but they the final person basically you can sell things to, and if you sell materials to that person, you'll basically be able to exchange those materials for Sprite Night. So each Sprite Night requires a certain number of materials to be sold. So the one that we have right now, Cyclone, for example, it might be like, oh, you need 2 of this material and then like 5 of this other one. And so going to this person and selling them all this material, one, you'll make good money, but also you'll be able to use that to get more Sprite Night. Sprite Night doesn't cost money, it just costs the materials that you sell. So that is your main way of getting new Sprite Night. And again, I don't have a lot at my disposal for as far as combat's concerned, but it does get to the point where you're able to kill these enemies with in 4 or 5 different ways at once, like momentum kill, fire kill, exact kill, whatever. And that you want to do that because you want to get as much material to drop as possible, because you do need that material to get more Sprite Night or to get recipes once you start running into people who are asking for a specific material. So I'm trying to rush through this because I believe we can... I don't remember exactly, but I think we might be able to get at least 1 or 2 battles in with a second character. Perhaps not, though. Trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't really gone over. There's a lot of different systems going on. But luckily this game, I think, it gets you in pretty quick. Like, it doesn't feel like it drags a lot at the beginning. Like, we're already pretty much past this tutorial, and there's still some stuff that's going to introduce in the next hour or 2 of this opening, but really at this point you're in it. So, and this is a Setsuna. So again, we'll kind of jump through this pretty quick here. So far, I am really, really liking this game a lot. I mean, again, it's, considering the game that it is definitely inspired by. And then, of course, story-wise, like, I love Final Fantasy X, and this game, definitely from the early parts of it, I was a little concerned it was maybe a bit too close to Final Fantasy X for me. Like, straight up to the point where they were introducing characters that I was like, oh, this is just Auron. But luckily, now that I'm getting a little deeper in, it's starting to stray a bit. It's definitely got a very similar premise. We'll keep Setsuna's name. But it's doing enough story-wise and with its own characters to change it up a bit, so it doesn't just feel like a retelling of Final Fantasy X, just with different characters and setting. Which is good. And it's just, I feel the same way with its kind of inspirations from Chrono Trigger. Like, it very much is a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, which is awesome just in and of itself, but it's also adding systems and doing things differently enough so that it feels like its own thing. So basically, Setsuna is going to have her guard, who's going to escort her through the pilgrimage, and we've just met a couple, or at least one who's specifically going to go with us. And they, basically, when you meet Setsuna, she kind of knows that you're there to kill her. And so she pleads with you to be like, hey, you, like, I can tell that you're strong, and we need help. Like, I'm going to need more people to come with me to ensure that I get to the place I need to get safely. And so she's basically like, I get what your job is, but if you see my journey through to the end, it's not gonna matter because I'm gonna be dead anyways. Like I'm the sacrifice, so you don't need to kill me. Just see my journey through the end, and I'll be dead anyway. So what does it matter? Which I really like. I kind of like that setup there. So there's a Eterna. She is another party member. So we'll go just a tiny bit longer. I believe if I skip through some of this text, we can get at least a 2-person party. Maybe even 3. I don't really quite remember. But yeah, there's really very little, if only just minor things that I have as far as complaints. I really, really like the music a lot. I think the gameplay itself, like the combat and all the different systems, all kind of work together in interesting ways. Like the material stuff, I think I like that you're using it to get Sprite Night, because I think it encourages you that even on the kind of the weaker enemies, you want to do different things. You want to try to get specific outcomes in combat so that you're getting a lot of material drops, because you need those Sprite Nights to get stronger. So I really like that. I think the characters so far are pretty cool. Like the writing is fine for the most part. There's some parts where it's like, but each of these characters, they feel like different characters. They have their own personalities and stuff. And I really like so far, like, as I've met new characters, they've had their own little plot line, and we've gone through their little plot line to be introduced to who they are and what their story is, and then they'll tag along for whatever reason, and then we'll continue on our journey. So it's, I think I'm about a third of the way through the game, but I already feel like I'm meeting these like interesting characters and actually going on this journey throughout the world, which is really cool. And just overall, yeah, I'm, again, probably about a third of the way through, but I've really enjoying it. I've got high hopes for where it's gonna go. And then, just soundtrack alone is just killer. So okay, so we're here. Basically, I was trapped down with magic. They did not trust me at all, especially near Setsuna. Whereas Setsuna is a bit like, I don't think he's that bad, and so monsters have attacked the village. And I believe we'll be able to get some multiple people in a party and start fighting monsters. There we go, Eterna. So here we go. So 2 people, again, kind of explain what's going on as far as meters filling up and momentum bars and stuff like that. Let's use an ether on Indir so we can at least use a combo here. Alright, both of our gauges are filled up. We've both got momentum. And there we go. One shot. I have seen some people kind of online complaining that it's really easy. I also have not had a whole lot of trouble. Some of the boss encounters have been a little bit harder. I think I have died at least like once or twice, mostly just because I did something stupid. But bosses in general, like, they've been challenging, but they haven't really been all that hard either. I don't really mind that. I imagine it'll probably get harder later on in the game, but as far as like it being pretty easy overall, like I don't think it's a cakewalk. But I also don't really mind it too much either. So this is gonna go on. This will trigger a few different battles as well, leading up to a little boss encounter. But we're gonna end it here. Again, this is I Am Setsuna. It is out on PlayStation 4 now for $40. Again, developed by Tokyo RPG Factory, published by Square Enix. Yeah, it's, I'm gonna review this hopefully within the next week or so. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's, to me, if you like Chrono Trigger, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, this is very much in that same vein. It's also, it feels a bit like a breath of fresh air in a way that Bravely Default also did in a lot of ways, where it's like, we don't really get a lot of these very traditional kind of old school JRPGs very much anymore. Or if we do, it's from a lot of indie developers. So to get it from Square Enix, I get the same feelings I was getting with Bravely Default in a lot of ways. While this game also being very different from that game too, which is really cool. So I'm super into it. If that's the type of game you're looking for, this is to me it's a no-brainer. $40 I don't feel bad about. We'll see. I've heard the game's about 20 hours for the main story, so you know, that's for you to decide on your own if that's worth it or not. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm super into it. I don't feel bad for how much I paid for it, and hopefully it will continue to be as good as it has been in the first 7 or 8 hours I've played. So thank you as always for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.